Hey everyone, this is Don Chen, and I'm really honored to have a special guest with me tonight. And his name is Stephen Wong. And I met him, oddly enough, in my other job, which is not comic books. You folks probably know that I am a realtor and a real estate broker, and I actually happened to meet some of Stephen's family members in an earlier transaction. And then he came to my current town and said, I'd like to buy something. So we looked around and found him a house. And in the course of the transaction, I said, what do you do for a living? And he said, I'm an animator for Pixar. And obviously my antennas went up and I was very excited because I'm a big fan of Pixar movies and animation. And so we got to talking and I said, maybe after we close this deal, could you come on my show and maybe talk about what you do for a living? And he graciously agreed to do that. So we're going to bring in Stephen and we're going to ask him some questions about his career and what he likes about his job. And we're going to have some fun prizes at the end. So stick around. It'll be Pixar related trivia and it should be a lot of fun. So without any further ado, let's bring in Stephen. Hey, Stephen.
Hey,
Hola, my friend. Good to see you.
hey, good to see you too. I believe you said we weren't going to close on the house unless I agreed to be on your show. So I was like, all right, I guess.
I
Guess
know.
that's how it works up here.
I'm a tough cookie, dude. I'm a tough cookie. So are you planning on staying at that house, or are you just using it for an investment?
Yeah, it's just an investment. I think who knows down the road.
Yeah.
Maybe one day. But yeah, like currently we had sold a condo and out here, so in Oakland, and so we were looking for a
Yeah.
good investment property.
We'll have to grab a bite next time you come into town and
Yeah.
shoot the breeze. So Stephen, tell us a little bit about your life. I do have a couple of questions, but so you're it's hard to tell how old you are, man. You look like you're fresh out of college.
I'm older than you think.
I know us Asians, it's like we look like we're 12 until we're 30, and then it all evens out.
No, I just turned 45.
Are you serious,
Yeah,
dude? You
yeah.
got good genes. Awesome, dude.
Thanks. I think it all falls apart when you hit 70. All of a sudden, every Asian looks old as hell.
Yeah. We start getting the hair that grows out of weird places. So,
Exactly.
so my friend, what question number one was what movies and cartoons inspired you?
Well, like what when I was growing up, obviously I was watching a lot of the Disney movies, Lion King, all that stuff. Obviously like Saturday morning cartoons and all those things. But I think for me, the first time I was kind of like, "Whoa, what is this?" was actually seeing the first Toy Story, and I was in college then, freshman year, and I was just like, "How are they doing this? What is this? Like, this is amazing!" And I mean, I never would have imagined kind of however many years later, 20 years later, that I would have been working at that studio, but
Wow.
yeah, I think that was like the first kind of eye-opening thing. And obviously like, like anime and Miyazaki movies too, like are a huge influence in kind of my current work now. So
Yeah. When you grew up, like you said, you got turned on to Toy Story in college. When you were younger, did you were you into comics, or did you have a particular cartoon show that you liked other than Toy Story?
oh, I mean, it was like GI Joe, Transformers, all that stuff. I was never like a huge comic guy. I guess didn't have a lot of like friends that were into that. I mean, I grew up in Atlanta, and just wasn't
Gotcha.
wasn't something. But yeah, so it was mainly cartoons.
So you see Toy Story in college, and then when does the light bulb say, "Hey, I think I might want to be an animator"? How does that happen?
Man, I think I saw it in college. I thought it was amazing. Like whoever has this job, whatever they're doing, is got to be the coolest thing in the world. But I never really like thought much about it beyond that. It really wasn't until honestly like so my undergraduate degree was in computer science, and that was at Georgia Tech, and I absolutely hated it, and it was total torture for me. I mean, it literally took me 6 years to graduate because it was so painful. I mean, it was just like nonstop math and all these things that I actually didn't like at all. You know, like the computer part that I liked was like the graphics and playing video games, all that kind of stuff. You know, cinematics. But like all of the stuff I was learning in school was like heavy duty, just like engineering stuff, and I was totally miserable. And
so you're another Asian that's not that fond of math like me, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Awesome.
So I had done like an internship at IBM, and I kind of hated that as well. And then my buddy decided to go to art school in California, and he's like, hey, like you should come out here. It's pretty awesome. And I was kind of just like, you know what? Like, I hate what I'm doing right now. This sounds amazing. And, if I don't do this, I might regret this for the rest of my life. So I took the plunge and went out to San Francisco.
I have to ask you, what did your parents think when you said, I want to be an animator?
I thought like a typical Asian parent would probably be like, no, what? But they were actually like, they were really supportive. I think they kind of knew that, I wasn't so happy with what I was doing, but yeah, it's a big change. And art school's expensive.
So let's say you go to art school in California, then you get your degree. Obviously you didn't land a job right at Pixar right out of the gate, but I see, by your credits on IMDb, you worked on Ice Age, right?
Mm-hmm.
And is that Blue Sky? Is that the name of the animation company?
Yeah. So I worked on the sequel. I worked on Ice Age 2.
Okay.
Yeah. And so like,
can I pull up your IMDb?
Sure.
So we can just kind of show people what you did. Awesome. Okay. So you worked on like 19 credits according to IMDb.
Oh my God. Yeah.
And you don't have any gray hair. How does that happen?
No, I do have gray hair. Trust me.
So
being kind about that.
2006. So that's your first major film. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was essentially. I worked at Electronic Arts like super briefly, like 3 months, like right out of school, and then a buddy of mine was kind of just like, hey, like he was at Blue Sky. They're in New York, and he's like, hey, like they're looking for animators to help finish Ice Age 2. And I was like, yeah, all right. So I sent in my demo reel. They, got lucky and they hired me. And so I went out there for like 8 months. And then after that was done, a lot of the animation jobs are contract based, right? Like you kind of just get hired for a film. And so after that one was done, I was scrambling to look for another job. And then another buddy of mine from school was like, hey, like, I'm at ILM, and, like they're looking for animators for Pirates of the Caribbean. So I threw my demo reel in and got a job there. And so worked on that film. And then when I was almost done with that was when one of my teachers from Pixar. When I went to the academy, there were a few Pixar animators that were teaching animation, and one of my former teachers was just kind of like, hey, like, we're looking for people. You should throw in your demo reel. You never know. And I mean, I literally would have never even applied had he not said it, because I was like, there's no way Pixar's going to hire me.
Yeah.
But it was for a theme park ride, and they just needed some like young animators to kind of, cut their teeth on some stuff. And so it wound up being like the perfect kind of landing spot to kind of get into Pixar. And then, I just clawed my way in.
Yeah. Well, that's cool. So do you work a lot at home now, or did you used to work, like go in and do the 9 to 5 in an office, or?
Yeah. I mean, the work from home thing was very new for Pixar. That basically the pandemic forced them screaming into, the modern world. But they, like it, 100% of it used to be in the studio. And so, we all had to get used to animating at home, which was weird. I don't have an office really, like I'm literally in my kitchen on the end of my kitchen, because I have a desk set up here. And so, it's like being an animator in a feature film sounds like it'd be a sexy thing. And, when you go to the studio, it's a pretty impressive place, but, animating in my kitchen is not the sexiest thing.
You're
Like,
funny.
because it feels very removed.
You're the second guy that kind of has Hollywood ties that I've interviewed. There was a guy that went to Humboldt State University that did a film about Oric, California. That's been kind of a cult classic, and I had him on my show, and he edits, like Big Brother and stuff for like Project Runway and stuff, and he operates out of his kitchen as well. He said, he's got all the big computers. I wanted to play some of your work. Do you want to show your dinosaur demo, and we can
You could actually show the reel first, and then I could show kind of more specifically the process stuff on the
okay
dino.
That sounds good. You've answered a lot of the questions that we've already I posed to you earlier, so that's
cool.
We're moving right along. So I'm gonna go ahead and
yeah,
I'm gonna go ahead and play the demo reel that you sent me, and then I might have to mute though, just so we don't get flagged. But let me pull that up real quick here. So how many hours a day do you spend working on animation?
I think it's fair. I probably, it's probably 40, 45 hours a week. I think back when I first started, it was probably more like 70 or 80 hours a week. But over time you get more efficient with your job.
Yeah.
Same goes for me. So
okay,
yeah, I
Steven,
try not to do crazy hours or anything.
So I'm going to go ahead and play this, and I'll play like, maybe about 15 or 20 seconds with sound,
Okay,
and
cool.
then we can mute it. And then you can, basically kind of talk about, what you remember about these awesome images. Oh, I'm not getting any sound. Are you? Oh, that's because I turned it down.
We can help each other, but most importantly, you can help me.
Miguel! Huh?
I'm Hector.
That's nice.
Yeah. Buenas noches, chicharrón.
I don't want to see your stupid face, Hector.
Come on, it's Dia de Muertos. I brought you a little offering.
Go ahead and mute that now, and you can maybe tell us a little bit more about Coco and what you remember from that film.
Yeah, it's funny. Like, I came on a little bit later show, and I remember, like, I knew that a lot of this was about a guitar player, and there was going to be a lot of like guitar playing. So I started learning the guitar, because I was like, oh yeah, like I want to be able to be authentic with it, and like never got a single shot playing the guitar, but I learned the guitar. I got a lot of shots of handling the guitar.
Okay, so now now tell us about The Good Dinosaur.
First off, this is the movie that apparently like no one has ever seen before. It kind of just it was like a few months before Inside Out, and like it totally bombed. It didn't do well at all. I think it was just kind of a weird little film. But the director was super fun to work for, and what's funny is like a lot of times, like the most fun shows are not often the best movies. A lot of times, like those things don't quite line up the way you would expect them to. But that show in particular was really fun to work on.
Is Inside Out? Are they doing a sequel to that, or is it one and done?
I'm not allowed to say.
Oh, okay.
I don't. I
That's all right. I understand. We don't want you to get your pink slip here. So now, when you work on these, Stephen, do you ever interact with any of the voice talent, or is it all strictly, your art and vocals are totally?
It's pretty rare.
Separate.
We'll usually get the video recordings of them actually, like the actors in the recording studios, actually like doing the dialogue. Sometimes we'll study that to kind of get some facial reference and of their acting and things. Occasionally they'll come visit the studio just to come check it out or do like pickup stuff. The one time that an actor did come was actually, it was Keanu Reeves on Toy Story 4.
Oh.
And it was so cool because I was actually working on the character Duke Kaboom, that like I was in pre-pro working on that character that he was going to be the voice for, and so they wanted to show him some of the stuff that we had worked on and see if he could like just we were just trying to sell him on the idea of like working on the film. And so he came, and it was a day that I was gone. I was out.
Oh, darn.
Studio. But yeah, he had pitched this whole crazy thing about like Duke Kaboom doing all these crazy poses and all this stuff. And yeah, apparently it was pretty amazing, but I didn't get to see him at all.
Oh, that was my favorite character in that.
Oh, cool.
So,
awesome.
Yeah. So we just kind of looked at some of the snippets. I mean, how many man hours goes into just like a minute of animation? It must be.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes it's depressing to say it, but like, for an animator for an entire year, you might work on 2 minutes worth of
Wow.
of animation. Like on any given week, I think an animator typically averages like 4 to 5 seconds of animation of footage per week. So
do you want to show?
Yeah.
Do you want to share your good dinosaur screen and kind of walk us through kind of the the process?
So this is not going to have any audio or anything, but yeah. So a lot of times, what we get as animators. So an animator basically takes, a computer animator takes a computer model like this, and we put motion into it, and we kind of breathe life into these characters. And it's, there's 24 frames per second. And so we're literally like posing these characters every single frame and creating motion out of that. And then that motion and the dialogue and the lip sync and all of the acting that we put into the performance, hopefully, transports an audience into thinking that character is real and that character is emoting. But, essentially, so I'll show you this right now. Like, this is what we would consider layout. This is not animation. This is essentially an artist that's setting up a shot, setting up a set, background, and then putting the characters in the scene with very rudimentary animation on it, just to kind of show the director kind of what they're, like how this particular shot would work, right?
Ooh.
So in this case, he's been starving and sorry, let me stop this real quick. So, in that layout shot, basically, like they're just saying, okay, like he's going to eat these berries, Spot over here is going to, has given him these berries to eat. He's starving, and he's pissed at him for kind of like having him stuck out in the woods. So that's the beat. That's the emotional beat that I've got to sell in my animation. And so when we get that shot, we do what's called blocking, and it's very similar to like what an animator or an actor does, right? So you're essentially roughly putting yourselves in these positions and kind of doing a preliminary acting, kind of scouting out what you're going to do. In our case, we're basically putting a first pass of animation in here. So like first pass of posing, and you'll notice when I play this, like there's supposed to be dialogue in here, but there's no dialogue, right? Like he's supposed to be talking throughout this whole thing. And the idea
what-
here is that, you know, the director basically said, okay, like he's angry at him, but he's also starving. And so when he's eating, he's trying to fight the urge to enjoy it. You know, he still wants to show that he's pissed at this little guy here. And so I'm just trying to like lay out all of the ideas that I have for the shot. Like when is he going to look at the little boy? When is he going to look at the grapes? You know, or, you know, and all of those things. So then I show that to the director, and then the director will give us notes, you know, just like they would give an actor a note. So he was like, you know, like, this is working pretty well, but I want to feel more of the desperation, and I want to feel when he tastes these grapes. I think he literally said the words like, it should feel orgasmic, like it, you know, like he should not be able to control himself as soon as it hits his tongue.
Yeah.
So I went back in there, and, you know, like I kind of started working on some more details, right? So eyes rolling back in the head, you know, and this kind of thing. But but still wasn't it still wasn't conveying what he really wanted out of the scene. So I went back to the drawing board, and I remember this, like I was out to dinner with my wife, and I was like, and we were both starving, and they had just given us our food, and I was like, okay, like, film me. I'm gonna be like, film me, and I'm just, you know, like I'm in the mood. I'm like, this is totally like the scene right now. So then, you know.
Oh yeah, baby.
So yeah, so then, you know, when
you did like a Meg Ryan from When Harry Met Sally.
So you know, like, this is kind of how we put a lot of those little details.
That's amazing. So, Stephen, just based on this 57-second clip, how much time did that take you to just do what you've shown us? Is that like a year?
Oh man, no. That was like, I actually worked on like you know, there's probably like 8 shots in a row in this sequence. You know, that probably took me, you know, a good 2 months to kind of, you know, go through that whole process, because you're kind of like iterating, showing it to the director, iterating some more again. So yeah, it's very tedious work, because there's so many details that you're constantly having to add into every little bit, all the little like eye darts and movements, all the brow movements, all the hands and fingers, and matching the lip sync and all of that kind of stuff. Like,
nice.
It's just very, very time consuming.
So is the software that you use, is it proprietary to Pixar, or is it kind of the industry standard?
Yeah, so the weird thing is, you know, I think when Pixar was first formed, you know, like they were the first, you know, big computer animation program in existence, and so they built it from scratch themselves. I think most other studios use what's called Maya. It's kind of like the standard platform, but because Pixar developed their own software and have been kind of continuing to develop it, like, we have our own proprietary software that, you know, it's similar-ish to Maya. Like, the languages are very similar, but you know, it's got its own very like special tools.
Gotcha. So what's the next thing that you're working on that's going to come out in theaters?
So the next thing that's going into theaters will be Lightyear, but I didn't work on that at all. I actually, you know, we have usually like 4 or 5 films kind of in the pipeline at any given time, and so not everybody works on all the different projects. So I'm actually working on the project that's supposed to be coming out in theaters in like 2024. So yeah, so like, people are like just finishing up on Lightyear now, but I've been on this other project for probably 6 or 7 months now, and I'll probably be on that for another year and a half.
Okay.
Until that's done.
I have a question. What is the would you say is the hardest part of your job?
The hardest part is I think like it's the act of getting notes. You know, like a lot of times, like you're working by yourself, kind of like putting in all these choices that are very dear to you, and like you know you kind of like you
It's your
your work is
baby.
very yeah, exactly, it's your baby.
Yeah.
It's very personal, and then you know twice a week you've got to go into a room and show your work in front of the entire department. And so you've got, you know, sometimes 50, 60 animators all sitting on a couch, staring at your work, looking for, finding out what, you know, like picking the points that are wrong or that could be
Oh
better.
God.
I mean, that's literally the job. It's literally, you're looking to see what you could do to make it better.
Yeah.
And that's how your work improves, but it's also brutal, right? Because
Sure.
you're showing your work and then people are starting to tear it apart. I mean, like people are nice about it, but still, like, you know, like they're critiquing something that you've worked on for, you know, for a
Oh
week
yeah.
and like put all your
Yeah.
blood, sweat, and tears into, and so it's hard. You've got to have a pretty thick skin to be able to take that criticism, sit back and go, okay, yeah, this will actually make it better, and let me go back and kind of do these things. So that's
Did
definitely the
you
hardest part.
did you ever in your art classes, I mean, did you do traditional drawing too as your background? I mean, are you skilled with pencil or pen and ink as well as computers?
I don't know if I would call myself skilled, but like, you know, I learned 2D animation in school. I never actually like
Okay.
worked in 2D animation or anything. I've done some illustration and stuff, but I definitely, if you plop me into like, you know, like old school Disney to do a 2D film, I could not do that.
Yeah, I hear you.
You know, yeah.
I'm just
And there, you know,
curious.
there are definitely animators you know, at Pixar that have done 2D animation at Disney and, you know, and then transitioned to 3D. But yeah, it's definitely like a very specific skill set.
Okay. Well, conversely, what's the funnest part of your job?
The funnest part of my job, I would say, here's Kieran.
Oh,
Hi.
So cute.
It used to be back when I was actually at the studio. It used to be, you know, just hanging out with my buddies, you know, and and talking about dailies and talking, you know, and just shooting the shit and
Shooting
all
the
that kind of stuff.
breeze.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So, uh, you don't have to answer how much you make, but does being a professional animator, I would think Pixar is probably the top paying company as far as
You'd
animation
be
goes. But
surprised. I definitely don't think it's Pixar, but it pays pretty well. It pays pretty well, but you know, if I were to compare it to like, you know, an engineer or a, you know, programmer or something, you know, they definitely make more.
yeah.
I did, but I also didn't get into this job, you know, necessarily for the money. You know, it's like, and especially like there are programmers and stuff that work on the tool side too, that like they sacrifice, you know, quite a bit, you know, staying at Pixar because they want to make movies or they want to help make movies versus, you know, go
Right.
to Google or you know,
Yeah.
Meta or
Steven,
something.
this went by too fast, buddy. I said we would do a quiz at the end of the show, but
Oh
before
yeah,
we do, I wanted to say thank you for this awesome gift that you sent me after we closed escrow on your house. You sent me a beautiful Pixar mug and a nice Christmas card, and I thought that was really
cool.
cool.
Well,
So
thank you for helping find us a house.
my pleasure. I'd gladly help you again anytime you want. I have a little movie that I played before we asked the quiz. It's just a little short quacky quiz promo. So here we go. All right, my friend. Hey, there's an idea for a Pixar movie, a bongo playing duck. It could fly. All right, Steven.
We're supposed to never accept tips for movies because one day you may wind up suing me. So I didn't hear anything that you just said.
If I see you guys do a Beardzerker with Keanu Reeves, I'll know something was up.
Yeah. Yes, indeed.
Okay. All right. So Stephen graciously provided me a couple of trivia questions. So why don't you tell our audience what lovely prize they might win today with the smaller present first?
All right. So these are fresh from the Pixar Studio store, but I've got two Pixar branded pencils.
And they're touched by Steven. So it's got his DNA. And if you want to clone a really talented animator, here's your chance. So here's the question. And since we don't have a live audience at the time, what I'm going to do, I'm going to put up the quiz question, and then on the other end, I'll pause it, and then we'll play the right answer. All right. So here we go. Here's the quiz question number 1. Steven wants to know if anyone out there knows what the highest grossing Pixar movie is of all time. So we'll let the people in the chat type in what they think is the right answer. You can Google it if you want. And then whoever is the first person to win will get these cool Pixar pencils from Steven. So
we're not using inflation either. It's just raw gross.
Raw gross. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So I'll just count to 7 here, and then I'll be pausing on the other end, and then I'll show the answer. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And the correct answer is The Incredibles. That is a huge amount. Do you get shares in Pixar when you work there?
We used to. They stopped doing that, but we get bonuses. Back when they were in theaters, we would get like theatrical bonuses if the film did well.
I see. Nice. And you worked on that one, right? You worked on Incredibles too.
Mm-hmm.
What was your what would be the scene that we would recognize probably that you worked on the most on?
Oh, I hopped on at the very, very end. So I did a few brief little scenes with like, The Incredibles, kind of like when they're like all like zoned out and kind of like in that kind of zombie state or whatever. But yeah.
Are you able to tell us if there's a third one in the works, or is that,
Oh, I have no idea. That's like way above my pay grade. So
all right,
I just work on the next movie they tell me to. So that's it.
All right. Quiz question number 2, and just tell the audience what they might win today, Steven.
This is a rare Toy Story 3 shot glass. So if you want to be a wimp, you fill it with Toy Story. A little more challenging is Toy Story 2, and then if you want to go big, Toy Story 3. Yeah.
Do you have the Asian gene that is like makes you look like you have?
Yeah.
You like,
so
if
I drank it here, I'd be like bright red.
All right. So Steven, I did say if possible, would you even sign that if somebody wanted to?
Yeah, of course. I did. I did sign it.
Oh, you signed it already? Oh, that is too cool. All right, guys. So I wish I could win that, but I do have a Pixar mug, which you guys don't have. So anyways, let's go ahead and ask the quiz question. And for this beautiful Toy Story 3 signed glass, Steven asked, what actor has appeared in the most Pixar movies? Do you know how many movies it was?
Probably not 20.
Sure. Really? He's been in that many? Really?
That's the running gag. That's the running gag.
All right, guys. So if you think you know Pixar, or you might know who that person is, I'm not saying if it's a he or a she, but go ahead and put in your answer, and we'll count to 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And I would have not known this, Steven. It's John Ratzenberger from Cheers, which is Cliffy, right? Cliff from Cheers.
Yep.
Wow.
Have you ever met him? He was in the very first Toy Story, and I think he reprised his role in Toy Story 2. But there was some, I don't know the backstory exactly, but basically, like, he wound up being in a voice in the first 3 films that Pixar did. They were all hits, and so he became the kind of like good luck charm. And so every single movie, even if it was like literally one line, they had to like find a character that he could just like literally like say one line of dialogue in so that he'd have a credit in it. And so every film didn't want to like break the jinx. And so
That's cool.
yeah.
Have you ever seen him come into the Pixar?
No,
no?
I haven't actually. Yeah.
Okay. Well, that was fun, man. If you guys want to check out Steven's Pixar demo reels, they're on Vimeo, and you can hear them with all the sound and everything. And you've got a great resume there, buddy. So thanks for spending the time, Steven. I had a good time.
Thanks. It was fun,
Say hi
Don.
to your family, and hopefully next time you come into my neck of the woods, I'll take you out for a coffee or a lunch or something.
Cool. Sounds good.
All right.
Thanks for the comics.
You're welcome, bud. Thank you so much. Have a good one. Say hi to the fam for me.
Yeah, we'll do.
Okay, bye-bye.
Thanks. Bye.
All right, guys, that was Steven Wong. Definitely check out the next projects from Pixar, even though he didn't work on it. I'm sure Lightyear will be fun. One of my favorite characters. I even put my toy, I think I've been covering up all night. So he's right here. I got my Buzz Lightyear. I got him at a thrift store, but he's pretty cool. He's got a little, I guess his batteries are, I guess I got to change his batteries. Anyways, thanks, Steven. And we'll see you guys on the other side, and keep reading those comics and watching those cool animated movies. All right. See you guys.